Welcome to Beyond Rockets. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Clark Dunn and I'm your host. Get ready to enjoy some awesome conversations from Huntsville locals about cool work they are doing right here in the Rocket City. You can connect with us on social media at Beyond Rockets, and if you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, I'd love to hear from you. You can visit my website, beyondrockets.com today, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Clark Dunn. Sit back and enjoy this episode of Beyond Rockets.
Everything I liked except the way she talked to me every day.
This episode is sponsored by Relogic Research. Relogic is an engineering, aerospace, and technology company dedicated to solving our nation's toughest defense problems while investing in the bright minds of Huntsville. Relogic is excited to be a part of the innovation and continued growth of the Huntsville community. Visit their website today to see what they are excited about at relogicresearch.com, and all of this information will be in the episode notes.
This is Chandler Wicks, founder and CEO of Relogic Research. We're very excited to partner with Beyond Rockets and further support of their already outstanding contribution to the Huntsville community.
Well, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks.
I'm excited. This is, I think, your third time on.
Yeah.
We've talked about a variety of different things that you've been a part in, you and your wife here in Huntsville. Would you like to introduce yourself and kind of talk a little bit about some of those things that people might have know you for prior to kind of the conversation we're having today?
Yeah. So my name's Kyle Husband, and I used to own Offbeat Coffee. We were open for about 5 years over in Campus 805. We were, a third wave, high quality coffee shop. And I got out of that last August, not this past one, 2 Augusts ago now. And, then my wife, Anna, decided that she wanted to open up her own tattoo studio. So I don't do tattoos or anything like that, but I helped her with all the back end stuff of that, and setting up the tattoo shop and then doing all of that kind of stuff. Spent a lot of time earlier this year doing that. She opened in January, I think it is. And then, I got this opportunity to acquire the Little Green Store and gallery. And so that's where we're at now.
Yeah. So, I mean, and if for those who might not know, the Gilded Moth is over at Lincoln Mill. Yeah. So it's really almost right down the hall from where we're recording the podcast right now. And so it's been fun. I've gotten to know Kyle and Anna over pretty much since the beginning of Offbeat, I think, is when I started kind of helping y'all out.
Yeah.
You're actually my first client. So anything that I've done up to then is kind of because of y'all. So I appreciate that. It's been fun. It's been fun to kind of get to know y'all. But the Little Green Store, talk about kind of the background, because the Little Green Store has been around for a little while. But you've obviously, in the last month and a half, 2 months, have kind of now acquired it.
Yeah. So the Little Green Store and Gallery is primarily an art gallery. We also sell jewelry, and we also are a gift boutique, and we're located up on top of Montesano Mountain. We're actually the only commercial space up on Montesano Mountain. And it's pretty interesting the way that it came about. So my grandmother was Betty Grisham, and she was a regionally well-known artist. And one of her mediums was hand-painted fabric. And so growing up, I would go to her her fabric studio and watch her work or whatever. And that fabric studio was actually the building that the Little Green Store is in now.
Wow.
So, years ago in the 90s, my grandmother sold it to Anna Byrne, the former owner of the Little Green Store. And she actually turned it into her private pediatric psychology or psychiatry practice. And that's what it was for a while. And she actually, I think the story goes, don't quote me on this one, but I think the story goes that one of her babysitters that she was close with, that babysat her kids, was an artist and wanted a place to show her art. And so she had this one little office off to the corner of her practice that had an exterior door. And we're talking like, a 10 by 10 room or something like that. And so that was a place for her to display her art. And then slowly other artists, especially up on the mountain, kind of started reaching out to her and being like, hey, like, if you're showing art, we'd like to show our art. And so it kind of grew. And over the course of multiple renovations, the Little Green Store got bigger and bigger and bigger. And her practice got smaller and smaller and smaller until finally she decided that she was like, I would rather be over here talking to customers about art than doing the psychology thing. And so that's kind of how the Little Green Store was born. But it's pretty cool. Like getting to go to work every day in a building that I grew up going and seeing my grandmother work in is pretty cool.
Yeah. So when did the transition to be completely the Little Green Store happen?
I think around 8 years ago, I think.
8 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it is like one of there's not very many art galleries here in Huntsville. I mean, it's surprisingly, I'm surprised that there's not as many as I feel like there should be. But it's been cool. I think 2 weeks ago or so is when y'all did the grand reopening.
Yep.
As kind of the owners. You had a little party, kind of had pop-ups and face painting and music and drinks and everything like that. As we were getting into the holiday season, that's probably the biggest and the busiest time for the Little Green Store. Everyone looking for gifts and all that. What can people expect to see for the Little Green Store kind of as in the next 2 or 3 months as we finish off 2024?
Yeah, so we are definitely gearing up for the holidays right now. The holidays are by far the busiest time of the year for us. The Little Green Store has historically done these artist open houses on the first Thursday of every month. And so this coming month, the first Thursday, I think it's November 7th, whatever the first Thursday is of November, we actually have Alan Davis coming in and he is the featured artist for November, and we'll have his open house that first Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. And we do that, every month, and that entails just everyone getting together. We serve food and all that kind of stuff, and it's a little party. We usually have 30 to 50 people. But we would love to have more people.
Yeah.
And the artist is there talking to the crowd and stuff like that, and it's always a really good time. So we'll continue doing that. We've got next year's calendar almost full. So we're still working on that. But, over the course of the next few months, we are also having what is it called? Christmas, kind of a Christmas open house on November 16th.
Okay.
During the day from 10 to 5 during open hours. And that's kind of in conjunction with the Burritt. So they will be having an event that day too, another Christmas open house. So it's kind of a come up on the mountain and shop kind of day. And, we'll have all kinds of stuff going on that day as well. We've been adding a lot of new inventory in as well, especially in the gift area. We went to market with the previous owner last August, and we have been in New York City, and we've been kind of holding off putting all of that inventory out until we actually took over. So we just got all of that out about 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So we have a whole lot of new inventory in the shop. We've got, new gifts, the gifts ideas with new jewelry, all of that kind of stuff. We've actually got a new artist showcasing right now in the shop that's never been here before. His name is Jeffy Brewer, and he does metal sculptures and really cool stuff. I've got a giant one of his in my backyard. That's actually why I reached out to him to come to send us some work that we could introduce the Huntsville area to. But yeah, so, we've got a lot of new stuff going on. We're going to start putting out our Christmas stuff. Well, actually, we started putting it out yesterday, but officially we're going to start putting out our Christmas stuff November 1st. So just really ramping up for the Christmas season. We got all kinds of Christmas ornaments and Christmas decorations and just all kinds of fun stuff with that as well. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on for the next couple of months.
This episode is sponsored by Yellowhammer Brewing. Yellowhammer is a local craft brewery serving Huntsville for the past 14 years. They are known for their premium craft beers like their T-Minus and Rebellion, but what you might not know is they also offer spirits, wine, seltzers, and non-alcoholic drinks. Next time you stop by their location, try one of their seasonal cocktails made with the Gemini Bourbon or the Yellowhammer Vodka, or try this year's big hit Pineapple Punch Seltzer. You can find out more information about Yellowhammer Brewery by visiting their website, yellowhammerbrewery.com, or visiting their tap room located at Campus 805. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors that help make this podcast possible. Now back to the episode. Yeah, and you've had a passion for art for a while, though. I mean, did your grandmother originally get into it, or what kind of got you into art? Because y'all's house a couple of years ago was on the Art Homes tour, and it was, my wife and I went, and it was just like, oh my gosh, they have so much art. Like the art it's beautiful and curated, and just kind of that attention to detail that you have, even when you're curating art for your own home, but also kind of then leading into what you do with the Little Green Store now. When did you kind of first get introduced to art and kind of have a passion for it?
Well, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my grandmother was Betty Grisham, and she was a pretty well-known artist. And so I grew up going to her home up on the mountain, like actually right next to the Little Green Store. And in her home, she had an art studio. And I just remember going up there from the time that I can remember. She would be working back in her art studio and doing painting, not the fabric stuff, doing painting. And she would always set me up an easel right next to her easel while she was working. And so she would just be like, here's a bunch of paints. Here's, everything you need. Just create, just sit back here with
Wow.
me and create. And so I would definitely say that that is probably the origin of my passion for art. But, it's carried through my entire life. I've kept that up. I took a lot of art classes in high school. I actually got an art degree in college alongside my business degree. So, that has definitely carried through my life. I unfortunately haven't been making art recently,
Mm.
but I think this is kind of the Little Green Store is a way for me to, show my appreciation and to kind of keep that passion going. While helping to serve and kind of educate the Huntsville community about art and to have a place where you can come find some unique things that you might not see in other places.
Mm. Yeah. So any of that, do you have any of that art still, or do you hang up any of that art that you were painting with your grandmother? That is any of that art in your house, or is it kind of tucked away?
Um, Honestly, it's kind of tucked away. So I remember, obviously I would go back to her studio and stuff, but every single time I went to her house, she had this small white pad on the table that she sat at in her kitchen. And she would just be like, just draw me something, just one thing. Like every single time I went up there, she was like, draw me one thing. And there are a few of those framed. And most of the time, my grandmother was kind of well known for doing florals. So most of the time it was whatever floral arrangement was sitting on the table is what I would draw. And I do have a couple of those framed. They are not up in the house. I actually don't know where they are. They're probably in storage somewhere. I should probably break those out.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I don't really have any of that hanging up. There's some art that my grandmother had hanging in her house of mine that is from my college years and stuff like that. And honestly, I don't hang that up either. I should probably do that.
Yeah, there you go. But so as you talked a little bit about kind of what your things that you're adding in and showcasing new art and new artists to the Huntsville area, is there any sort of big goals and sort of aspirations that you have as we're moving into the new year, and you're kind of being that first full year of operating and owning of the Little Green Store?
Well, yeah. So, some of my goals are to keep the wonderful artists that we have, because, Anna Byrne has spent 16 years cultivating and growing this business and cultivating this art community that show their art at the Little Green Store. And, I've got a lot of pieces from the Little Green Store. I've got pieces from a lot of the artists that we currently carry that are currently hanging up at the shop right now, because I would shop at the Little Green Store and over the years acquired a lot of art from there. So, I definitely want to keep the artists that I've got that I was kind of handed by Anna Byrne, but I also want to introduce some new artists. I want to introduce some artists that nobody from around here has really ever heard of or seen. So, Jeffy Brewer is one example. I just got his artwork in last week and put it up in the shop. And he's from Natchitoches, Texas. So he's not really local, but it's some really unique stuff that I just wanted to bring to the community. Another new artist that we're going to be showcasing in January is an artist named Maddie Reinhardt. And she is actually one of my wife's friends. She's currently a tattoo artist in New Orleans. She just moved to New Orleans, but she also paints, and she has an art background. Her education is in art. She has a BFA, I believe, and so I saw some of her work and was like, oh man, like let's get this out and let's get this out and let people see it. And she had told me that one of her goals was her life goals was to have an art show by the time she turns 30. And I'm pretty sure she turns 30 at the end of this year, and we're doing hers in January.
Awesome.
So that's pretty cool. And, just trying to, I want to find some artists that maybe haven't made it yet or aren't well known or whatever, and try to help them kind of build their careers and be able to showcase their art, in a place where it's going to be seen.
Yeah. And so for those that maybe haven't visited the Little Green Store, but like know where it is, I feel like for the longest time, like I think one of the first times I've ever been was when y'all had the grand reopening. Like I knew of the Little Green Store. I had driven by it. I like knew its presence and its impact here in the community, but actually visiting the store, I mean, we ended up not even thinking about buying art, but ended up buying 3 pieces of art. So it's one of those things and there was plenty more that we could have bought. We were like, we should probably stop. We should probably just do these 3 for now. But as for those people that maybe haven't visited, what are your sort of your hours of operation, and where can people kind of find out more and see some of the stuff that you maybe post or that you maybe have just put up into the store for the holiday season?
Yeah, definitely. So I would definitely recommend following us at the Little Green Store on Instagram. That's Instagram and Facebook is our primary outlet to kind of get the information out. We also send out email blasts to all of our customers from the past. But if you haven't been there, then you're obviously not going to be getting those emails. But our hours of operation are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. In December, we will also be open on Sundays, just because we like to extend our hours right before Christmas to give people an opportunity to come in. But for most of the year, it's 10 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday. And, as I said earlier, we're located literally like at the top of Montesano on Montesano Boulevard. Yeah, we're actually, I've had a lot of feedback about not having a big enough sign out by the road. People are driving by and not seeing it. So, we're looking into getting a bigger sign and just adding a few things outdoors to catch people's eye as they drive by and whatnot. But I would say, we being up on the mountain and being kind of the only thing open to the public up on the mountain, we are definitely a destination.
Yeah. And so one thing I think is also unique that you were actually were telling me at the grand reopening was the wish list that you can do for the holiday seasons. Talk a little bit about that, because I think people that might be listening that want art, want their husbands to kind of know what art they want their family members to know what kind of art they're liking, they can actually go up there and kind of curate a wish list.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, that's one of the more unique things that we do up there. And this wasn't my idea. This is something that I inherited by buying the business, but it is one of the cooler things we do. So you can go up there and say, hey, I want to make a wish list. And basically what that means is we write down, you pick out a whole bunch of stuff that you like or that you're interested in. We write down all of that information and then we stick it in a file. And then if you have family members that come in or your husband or wife or whatever, they can ask to see your wish list, and then they can kind of pick and choose, or at least get an idea of what kind of things that you're interested in from that wish list. And I do think it's a really good tool to kind of help people, especially people that are a little bit harder to buy for, to kind of it's the small business version of basically making an Amazon wish list.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's a pretty cool thing that we do that I haven't seen in a lot of other places.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I would assume too, with curating the art and finding these artists that you want to showcase there, the art does kind of come on rotation. How often does new art come out? Is it a quarterly basis? So like if someone was to come in today, is this art going to be done by the end of the year, or will a lot of the art stay longer than that?
It really cycles through all the time. So, some art pieces will be up for a year or 8 months or whatever. And then some, I have artists coming in bi-weekly, I would say on average, just bringing me new art to put up, maybe even weekly. I hung some art last week. I've got artists coming in. I've actually got a jewelry maker, a local jewelry maker named Monty Perry, coming in today to drop off some jewelry and to show me some of her other two-dimensional art and seeing if we want to carry that. So, I've got artists coming in all the time, and there's actually a place on our website where which is thelittlegreenstore.net, by the way, where we have a new artist application. So if a new artist wants to come and try to showcase their art there, we encourage them to go apply through the website. And then basically we get the whole staff together and we kind of sit there and talk about it and vote and decide as a staff what artists and what art that we want to carry and what we don't, So yeah, I mean, there's new art in there. I would say if you come every other week, there's going to be something new in there every time you come.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you taking the last little bit. It's been fun. I think it's, like I said, the third time we've had you on. We'll have to have Anna on for the Gilded Moth sometime soon and showcase what she's doing with that, which I think is super unique. And there's some cool things she's doing there. We'll have to have you back on in a couple of years as the Little Green Store continues to grow and as it continues to be an impact here in Huntsville for years to come. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you just taking the time to talk today. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Clark. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Rockets. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and on YouTube at Beyond Rockets. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Beyond Rockets to stay up to date with new episodes as they are released. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.